So today I'm going to show you how to use the Desmos calculator to take the square root or the cube root or any root that you are choosing. Once you go to desmos.com, typically you're going to go to the graphing, but if you scroll down, there are some different options. Go to the for function and scientific calculator and hit on scientific. That's going to bring you to a new screen. And you have the options. You can use the keys on the keyboard that's listed on the screen, or you can actually use your own keyboard. So let's try an example with taking the square root of 16. So if I click on the square root symbol and type in 16, it'll automatically give me my answer on the right-hand side. If I want to do another one, I just hit enter. And I'm going to show you that you can also use raising it to the 1/2 power. So I can type 16. I'm doing that from my keyboard. I'm going to switch back to the screen. I'm going to raise it to a power, and I'm going to hit this fraction bar and just do a 1, and use my cursor, bring it down, and 2. And it should give you the same value because we know taking the square root of 16 and raising it to the 1/2 power are the same thing. If you are going to take the cube root or any other root for a radical, you're going to need to use a different key. So I'm going to enter, get myself down. And this time I want to take the cube root. So I need to go to this where the index of n, and I'm going to first of all hit that button. Once I do that, it's going to give me the place to put the index. So I'm taking a cube root. I'm going to enter that in, and I can use my cursor, or I can type from the screen, or I can type on the keyboard. And again, it will give you the value right away. Let's say you're taking a cube root of a non-perfect cube. Show you what that would look like. So I'm going to take the cube root of 60. I type in the 3, I type in my 60, and it gives me a value. And typically you would round to the nearest hundredth if they are asking you to evaluate. Since we know that taking the cube root is also the same as raising it a value to the 1/3 power, I'm going to try 27 raised, and I'm using my caret key to the 1 divided by 3. And we know that when you take the cube root of 27, you do get 3. Now, what happens if I want to do a negative? So I'm going to type in 27. I'm going to, again, raise it to a negative power, but I'm going to need to keep that outside of the parenthesis. And I can use the parenthesis from the screen, or I can use it on my regular keyboard. I still want to do a 1 divided by 3. Now, if you take the cube root of 27, that is 3. But because we have a negative exponent, we know it's got to go to the denominator. Here's the feature I wanted to show you. You have a repeating decimal, or a decimal in any case, but you've also got this symbol here. And if you hover over it, it will say convert to a fraction. So if I click on that, I do know that the cube root of 27 is 3, and it's giving me the fraction here. Desmos will even work if you have a value, let's say we want to raise 2 to the 3/4 power. So I'm going to type in my 2, and I can go back and forth with my keyboard or the screen. I want to raise it to the, and I'm going to use the fraction bar, to the 3/4 power. Take that back, move this over here, and 4th. Okay, so it's going to give me a value right away. Again, you could round to the nearest hundredth if they were asking you to calculate. However, let's say I want to enter this in as a radical form. Because my fraction is 3/4, I know that my index is a 4. So I'm going to need to go to this key here, type that. I'm going to put in the 4 because that's my index. And then I'm going to move to under the radical symbol, and I need to remember that 2 has to be raised to the 3rd power. I'm just going to use the keys on here, and I get the same exact answer. So here's where you can check your work to make sure that you are being able to go back and forth with these methods and these forms.